anyway, because he didn't see the text.
That was all the answers.
Okay, mic's on, and I think we're good.
Everyone ready?
I guess so.
All right, good afternoon. We will call this regular meeting of the City Plan Commission to order. It is 4:46 p.m. on Tuesday, June 16th. Let's start with a roll call.
Noel Sanchez.
Rachel Dodson.
David McKenna.
Cheyenne Mandragar, DPD staff.
Bob Azar, DPD staff.
Megan DeSanta, legal counsel.
And I am Michael Gazdaco, Chair. We have the minutes from the May 19th meeting to review and approve. All of you should have received them prior to this meeting. If you have any edits or corrections, please say so now or look for a motion to approve the minutes as drafted.
Make a motion to approve.
You have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have fully formed motion to approve the minutes. All in favor of approving the minutes as drafted, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The minutes pass. Moving along to director's report, Mr. Azar.
Okay, not much to report, other than we are in the process of trying to replace Lev Simon, our dear departed. I don't know if departed is the right word, but he did depart. Planning technician, we're going through the process. We have a lot of good candidates, so hopefully we'll have someone in place soon. Because we need someone desperately in that position. The only other thing I wanted to ask is about the July meeting. We'd originally scheduled it for July 14th, and we had set out a request to consider changing that date. I think the 28th looked good.
I saw 4 positive responses for the 28th at least.
We have 4 for the 28th, but we'd like to know if one of us will make it.
Rachel's not available then, but we have 4 without.
I
don't
answered that, but
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, all right, sounds like we'll be able to do that, so.
So we will, we'll make a statement now that we're moving the July meeting from the 14th to the 20th of 2026.
Okay, good, that's it.
All right, thank you, Bob. Moving into our first agenda item, let's look for the minor subdivision. It's a request for extension, case number 24-076 UDR.
Jeremy, you want to introduce this?
Yeah, sure, commissioners. So this is a request for a 1-year extension of minor subdivision with UDR at 16 to 22 Grove Street. As you will recall, it involved subdividing a lot so that the buildings were on separate lots. And the applicant's here and they can tell us why this extension is being requested.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So the reason this is being extended one.
Can you identify yourself?
Oh, yeah, Zachary Bordoni, counsel on behalf of the owner.
Thank you.
So there was a major change granted back in July. It took a couple months for us to get an updated plan, so that way we could submit for the zoning certificate for compliance. That was done in December, and then obviously December is kind of the off season for, doing work outside. So it took a little bit, we had to wait a little bit for that. We are in the process of getting the zoning certificate for compliance approved. We have a partial pass. The only thing, the two things that were noted on that partial pass were to put in the tree that was to be placed in the rear yard and to put vehicle stops at the parking spaces. The vehicle stops have been in place. I was hoping to have the tree in this past weekend. My client informed me that that was not done, so I was hoping for this week. We're asking for a year just to play it safe. I'm very hopeful that it should not come anywhere close to that. But we are near the end of this, and we just unfortunately need a little bit more time just to get this thing wrapped up.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? This is that one, where we were talking about, yeah, the driveways and the earth against the foundation and stuff like that. You remember this one. You remember.
So after this is done, after the tree is planted, it's all.
Once they get a zoning certificate, they're able to submit their final subdivision, yeah. To effectuate it.
So, yeah, we're fine with granting public extension.
Okay, this is just an extension request, so we don't take public comment. If anyone would make a motion, have any other questions for the applicant?
I'll second.
Right. All in favor of the 1 year extension, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Any abstentions? Okay, good luck. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 2, it's a city council referral number 3617, abandonment of a portion of Western Street.
Sure, and commissioners, a quick introduction. So as you will see, this is a request to abandon a portion of Western Street. It's right at the end, at the place where Western Street terminates. And you see it's a little square that's bounded on either side by lots that are owned by the petitioner. So the petitioner wishes to abandon that portion so they could incorporate that part of the street into their property. So petitioner's here and they can tell us more.
Yes, hello, and thank you for your time today.
Hi.
My name is Sandra Lee and I live at 23 Western Street. Been there a while. And the northern terminus dead ends literally in front of my house, my front door. Yeah, right there. And I also own lot 113 right across from me. And I'm asking the city to abandon the northern terminus so that I can have legal access to a parking space for whatever's left of my lifetime here. Because anybody can go and park there and then I can't get into my house. So, that's it. Any questions?
It's funny, Google Maps has Halford Place as Western Street also, but just curves around.
Yes, that's incorrect.
Yeah.
So Len
see that.
Simon, I'm glad you mentioned that, was so very helpful with me. Those two lots, there were two lots there where it says Palford Place. And 50 years ago, they were removed and Palford Place became a street. However, the update didn't make it to the tax assessor's map. This one lived it.
Yeah, well, the good news is that this is the tax assessor's map.
Yeah, exactly.
That static map that you see will be updated after the end of the tax year.
Thanks to Nate Urso, the signs are up. I just want to say that everyone I encountered at City Hall and in the planning department, everyone from Joe Angelino to Nate Urso for the signs, to Lev, to Craig Hockman, to my city council rep, Sue Andebois, were so helpful with this. I'm sincerely appreciative.
That's really great. We don't often hear that, so that's good to hear.
Yes, yes.
Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? Before we hear the staff report?
So it'd just be one lot. A little bit more than 6,000 square feet.
Well, I think the intention actually, is it not to merge
Got it.
this, section into, lot 111 and lot 113 stays the same.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah,
So-
lot 115 and lot 113 both have frontage.
115 is
Yeah.
fronted on Palaford Street.
And Powerful Place. They both have.
They
street
both
access.
have street access. This will have street access, and then this will have access to Western Street.
Right.
So the lot, sorry, the abandoned portion will not get incorporated or will get
It
incorporated?
will get incorporated into only lot 111.
That's my intention.
That's the intention.
And that's an R3.
I believe this is R3 zoning here.
And you have spoken with the owner of lot 113, correct?
That is me.
Yourself.
Oh,
I
it's you
speak
too.
to her all the time.
Okay, so you have no problem. You have no problem, like getting the authorization to do this from the other landowner.
No problem with that.
Oh, the other one is, I guess,
It's
Or
very
two.
unique
Yeah, what is
situation.
the one above it.
So there is a lot to the north,
Yeah,
but
that's
it
the-
clearly has street access.
So, yeah, that's the southern terminus of Duncan Avenue.
Okay. All right, that's the other one we need. Have you had any contact with that?
Yes, that's my neighbor Yale
Okay.
stood event, and I've told him what I'm doing.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for the applicant? Let's hear the staff report.
Sure, and commissioners, as has been discussed, this portion of Western Street is only useful to providing access to property that's owned by the petitioner and not necessarily for accessing different parts of the city. So therefore, we feel that abandoning it would not necessarily go against the public interest. We don't foresee negative impact in terms of affecting future plans as well as we don't foresee a negative impact of the health and welfare of the community based on this abandonment. Again, as discussed, the petitioner does own land to the east and west of the abandonment area, but we're not sure, we haven't heard any objections from the owner of 65 Duncan Street, which as you saw was to the north. No physical or legal access will be denied as a result of this abandonment. And we don't know if there are any public services or facilities that need to be protected, and the applicant will need to grant easements as necessary, and they have provided a petition and plan as required. So based on that, we recommend that you make a positive recommendation to the Committee on Public Works to approve the abandonment subject to these conditions, that all the landowners agree to the abandonment, that the petitioner apply for an administrative subdivision to merge the abandoned portion of the street with their property prior to appearing before the city council, and that they grant any easements as necessary.
Okay, thank you, Joanne. We will, at this time, open up to public comment for this agenda item. This is agenda item number 2, referral number 3617, abandonment of a portion of Western Street. If there's anyone here in the physical room who would like to speak on this agenda item, please make your way up to the pole over here next to our table. If there's anyone joining us from the virtual room, please raise your virtual hand or press *9 if you're calling in. Nobody. And seeing no one, we will close the public comment portion of this agenda item. This is a pretty cut and dry abandonment. We don't often see abandonments that we particularly like, but this one seems like it makes sense. Like, there's a house on the rest of West Street, so. I don't see any
We
reason.
don't have any.
Yeah.
There is no sewer line, so, well, we don't.
We don't know yet, but if there are any, there will be, easements. Access given, through the transfer. Department of Public Works will have to confirm all utilities and prior to.
What is it, a survey that? How does that, what's that process?
It wasn't surveyed already.
Yeah, and Public Works does their own research and they present to the city council. Any city-owned utilities. This also gets reviewed by Rhode Island Energy and by Narragansett Bay Commission, Providence Water. And they're all gonna map out their utilities and they'll require easements.
That's before you go to city.
Correct.
I don't have any problem.
Then,
I'll make a motion that we make a recommendation to city council.
Based
Approve
on,
the abandonment of Western Street based on the discussion at the. This presentation
with the recommendations included in the staff report.
with the recommendation included in this technical.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? All right, we'll go around and do a vote. Noel,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
Sid,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Best of luck at city council.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
No problem. All right, moving right along to agenda item number 3. This is a major land development project for case number 24-069 MA 70 Houghton Street.
And Commissioners,
promote you?
so Commissioners, the applicant is requesting preliminary plan approval, and some of you may have been here at the master plan stage. So this development is at 70 Houghton Street, the former American Tourister site, and the applicant is proposing to construct 7 commercial multi-purpose buildings that can be used for warehousing, light manufacturing, and other uses that are permitted in the MMU 75 zone. And they are back with some updated elevations, renderings as was requested at the master plan stage. And they're also requesting a waiver from submission of a site survey at this stage of development. So they'll be going through the development with you, landscaping, lighting, all the pertinent items, and yeah, they can tell you now.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Brandon Carr with the Freed Engineering. Jonathan, we've been here a number of times, throughout the process, dating probably back to 2016, 2018 with different iterations of the plan. We're gonna show you a new concept tonight that we're seeking preliminary plan approval for. China mentioned, the waiver for the survey. It's really just a timing thing. We had some coordination with the city to get access to the site. It shouldn't actually have to address that much anymore. So we'll have that by final plan, so it's just at this stage. And we've done surveys in the past, we just hadn't done the final. If everyone's familiar with the site, it's location of the American Tourister Mill. It's the street you see here is Houghton Street, which was improved by the city about 5 or 6 years ago. So that roadway was improved to provide access to our site and also the usually you see kind of on north and south side of that street, so sidewalks, street trees. Utilities were also stuck to the middle of that street to serve this property with it's out that section. There's multiple kind of parcels here that have been in or out of the previous iterations of the plan, but the highlighted area in red is what we're here to talk about today. Existing conditions, it's previously cleared, it's about 9 acres. It was the mill, and then since then it's kind of been used by the city as storage. There's some stockpiles out there. There's some material that was stockpiled there when they did the CSO project. It's owned MU 75, so mixed use 75, so that allows various uses, warehouse being one of them. So it's a mixed zone, allowing residential, industrial, commercial at 75 feet. From the zoning, we are asking for the waiver for the plan, the survey plan, but we're not asking for any use or dimensional leak or anything like that.
Excuse me, Brandon, I just want to clarify here, you mentioned the city. This piece of property has been owned by the Providence Redevelopment Agency for decades, and there have been attempts to find a development partner for this site, since before I started working for the city in 2000. So, I just thought I would give a little context behind that when Brandon talks about the city.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. It's owned by the PRA, and we've been working kind of in hand with them for 6, 7 years on this kind of stage of the redevelopment. This portion of the site, so that area outlined in blue is fairly flat. Like I said, there's some stockpiles. It starts to climb up to the north, so you can see the area up here. There's a lot of relief as we go up this hill. It's about 100 feet of grade change from here up to Hill Street here and up to Woodward Road here. But generally the area that we're looking at today is fairly flat. There are some wetlands on the site that we're not disturbing. We're working around. We're wrapping up our permit with DM at the moment. And that's taking a little bit longer just because there's some remediation and also working with different departments at the, but we should be getting our wetlands and stormwater permits fairly soon here. And then to the south, you can see there's Whipple's Pond, and then that turns up to the West River. So what we're proposing, when we were here for master plan, it was a mixture. I think it was 11 buildings, smaller buildings. What we've done is we've worked to combine, I think, 4 of the buildings in the interior to the larger building you see in the center of the site. So now we're proposing 7 buildings. The total square footage from what you saw in master plan is basically the same. I think it's within 1,000 or 2 square feet. So that center building is a 48,000 square foot warehouse. And then we've got the mostly 9,000 square feet. And then the one at the top left here is a little bit smaller. It's 6,500-ish square feet. So these are typically, there's better rendering later on the proposal you'll see, but think the 30, 40 foot high warehouse looking building with overhead doors driving into it. We're not proposing any loading docks just because we know larger truck access is kind of iffy in this area of the city getting from 95. So we're not anticipating tractor trailers in this site for smaller scale box trucks and that kind of thing. Small businesses. So these buildings would be set up so that one user could occupy the entire building, or they could be subdivided with 2,000 square foot kind of bays for each user. That's what's desired. Switching to this from what you've seen, both what you may have seen over the years, some larger warehouse, I think we did 100,000 square foot warehouse at one point, just kind of breaking these up and providing flexibility to set allows a little bit better market absorption, kind of building and state. And we also saw the developer saw some need demand for this type of product in this area. So we think it's kind of a better suited to the site, given the location, given the access, and just the market. I'm going to zoom in because from on this view, you can kind of see in the bottom right is where we're providing our stormwater treatment. But we're doing fairly typical basin water quality infiltration basin. So kind of a 3-cell system. You can see on the right there, sediment 4 bay, the water comes in. And then we have a smaller infiltration basins for the water quality storms, and then a larger basin for the peak storms. And then everything kind of flows off to the bottom of this view, which is to the south. And you can see, if you're looking at the plans, that blue line is the property line, but this parcel to the south is also owned by the PRA of the city. So we've been just coordinating. That's part of the application. So we have the ability to work on that site. And it actually kind of works out well because a lot of that is disturbed previously, kind of in rough shape. So hand in hand with this work will allow us to restore some of that area adjacent to the buffer to the wetland. I mentioned this earlier, but utility design, again, it's pretty standard. This will have for sewer, it'll have a pump station that serves the whole site. So it gravities out to the end of Houghton Street there. With these being warehouse uses and uses like that, we're not anticipating high volume of flow, so there'd be a pump station, then there's an existing force main to the end of the house that we tie it into. So we just pick it up there, and install our own, private pump station. Then again, water, sewer, gas, electric, all, and stuff right to the end of the, housing in the city for that work. So it's pretty simple to just bring it into the site. And we've reviewed, we're going through those processes now, but we, talked to the city engineer, Providence Water, and we see on kind of this initial concept, and we're wrapping up the reviews for those. And landscape design, so we're meeting the city's requirement for shade trees and for parking, field. It's kind of an isolated site, at the end of the cul-de-sac. There's woods to the north, woods to the south, woods to the west. So we're providing the required, parking lot, shade requirements, and then some screening, just mostly for the abutters to the kind of northeast there, you could say. But pretty typical street trees, and then anticipating possibly some lower plantings around buildings, having them really. The top, you'll see some wetland buffer planting, so these are the kind of two of the on-site wetlands that I mentioned. So, working with PM to restore that buffer along with those plantings. I think the last two slides are just the lighting design we, provided, so. I think for the most part, I think that might be 3 or 4 light poles, but for the most part, this would be lit by building lighting along the front of the building and sides of the building. Kind of with those, especially with the areas where the buildings are facing each other, should be able to be safely lit just from the building mounted lighting. There we have some pole mounted lighting kind of on the entrance road coming in and that back parking lot in and around the perimeter of the site. But again, meets the city's requirements. There's still over the problem to the butters and for height. And then last, it just kind of some conceptual imagery of what these buildings would typically look like. You can see the top views in the bottom left are that kind of lower scale warehouse use that I've been talking about, smaller building for 9,000 and 6,000 square foot building. So pretty typical, just overhead doors and main doors, and a smart meter on the front, and then a larger building with no light, a little bit, which the rendering shows some tractor trailers, but it doesn't have any loading docks or anything that would service trucks that large. So it would be maybe a little bit larger scale warehouse, or it has the ability. It's go back to site, but it's basically twice as wide as the other building, so it lends that same flexibility, broken up into different tenants. So that's pretty much the presentation, and what we're here. And I have Rich Ricari from the developer in the back, if you have any questions for him. Otherwise, here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, commissioners, any questions for the applicant? I guess I'll kick it off. So the intent is to rent these out to smaller spaces, not like one end user, even that middle big building is meant to be carved out.
It's, the intent is, it has the ability for somebody,
Right.
if there was somebody who's looking for 48,000 square feet, but historically, we haven't seen that market for this site either, so it allows that flexibility.
For like warehousing, light manufacturer.
Correct,
yeah,
yeah, those
things
types
like
of
that.
uses that are allowed on 75.
Okay.
Nobody's gonna listen to these guys.
Questions about access on the road, like easy, is that how you get into the?
Yeah, so we went through this conversation with the city engineer, just about the truck access, so, what I said about the tractor trailer, it's not a great spot to get to with big trucks, that's why we kind of gravitated towards a smaller scale, but if you're coming from 95, the Admiral Street approach is a little bit better, and then come up Beasy Street, I know there's a school over there, but you could also come off of the branch exit and up, come west on Branch, north up, Beasy, and then right into the site. Just gonna go back.
It's not even like really a 2-lane street, it's not even marked just down the center, it's pretty tight.
It's definitely a smaller scale, and if you look at kind of the neighboring uses, I mean, Goodwill to the south, they bring tractor trailer trucks in there, I'm guessing it's not very frequently, and then you have the bus company on the north.
Um, so that traffic is kind of
That's too
making its way to this area, but we're anticipating, typically what you see in these are kind of smaller, companies or self-employed. You see some, storage, not storage, but like warehousing uses, resellers and things like that, these types of, spaces.
So it's not gonna be storage.
No, not a storage facility, and not
self-storage, right?
Not self-storage,
Like,
no,
okay.
not like the adjacent property, it would be, when I say storage, like there's one near me in Massachusetts, it's Auto Parts International has space, so they, they serve stores, that's kind of where they have their warehousing aspect of their stores, so things like that.
And we're not necessarily running distribution of it.
No,
Because
correct,
it's not.
doesn't have the loading dock set up.
We're looking at VZ Street right now, and it is a 2-lane road.
Yeah,
It may not, the pavement markings may be worn, but it is a full 2-lane.
I'm at the Goodwill auction for Business Employment Services, it
Yes.
is, like, when you're on. Oh, it's pretty good, but yeah, VZ can be tough.
Yep. Well, Sid, any?
Seen this before.
Yeah, we have a few times, few different iterations.
Seems like a lot of considerations are placed.
I know that there's a market for that type of use. Smaller contractors and things like that, having a space where they can work out of and store their vehicles inside. There's not gonna be any outdoor storage in this, right?
No, it would all be interior to the building.
That was the other question. Yeah.
We saw a project like on Branch Avenue.
Yeah, like exactly,
Yeah.
similar to that. Yeah, there's a few of these that we've seen recently that seem to have similar thing.
I suppose there's traffic studies in place and all that.
So, yeah, we did a traffic study for one of the preview uses, when it was a kind of a heavier user, we're proposing a larger warehousing type, so we've been using that to coordinate with the city engineer. And if that checked out, then it would be, kind of less employees, less trips anticipated by this use here.
And there's no other exit possible from the lot.
No,
That would serve what we're doing.
yeah, there's no,
I don't-
it's landlocked all on this side, this is all the river, this is owned by, I think, City of Providence owns a piece back here, but there's no other access.
VZ does connect up to Woodward. Woodward is posted, no trucks, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
Just this bump of the insinuating of historic. Was what it would.
No, I mean, it's not very far from there, but,
Not sharing.
it's not abutting at all. That's over in this, if you can see my cursor, that's over in this area here. I'll just add that I think this is the closest the PRA has been to finding a bona fide developer for this site, and this seems to be the most practical solution.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant or hear a staff report? All right, John, take it away.
Sure, thanks, Mr. Chair. And the applicant did speak about the items that we reviewed preliminary plan, like the design, landscaping, management, parking and traffic, so we can directly jump into the waiver. And in this case, it's a request for a waiver from submission of a site survey. And as they spoke about, they have been facing some difficulties getting it. And we do feel that it would be in the interest of good planning practice if you were to grant this waiver, as it would allow the applicant to develop the survey and move on with the approval process. So based on that, we would recommend that you take a vote to grant the waiver from submission of the survey with the condition that it be submitted with the final plan. So moving on from there, we do find this development to be consistent with the comprehensive plan, given that this area is intended and falls under the business mixed-use development designation, which is intended to foster growth of commercial and industrial uses. And this use would be suited to that description. The industrial general warehouse and commercial uses that they're proposing or could occur on this site are permitted in the NME 75 zone. They conform to the dimensional design regulations of the zone, as well as parking, landscaping, and lighting requirements. We don't foresee a negative environmental impact. There are no physical constraints, apparent physical constraints that would impact development of the property. And adequate vehicular and pedestrian access will be provided from Houghton Street. And so based on that, we recommend that you approve the preliminary plan with the condition that the drainage plan be subject to the city engineer's approval.
Shouldn't we also have that survey will be submitted at final plan?
Yeah, that I said that as a condition of the waiver, but that'd be a separate one.
Okay. This is a public hearing, so we will take public comment at this time. If there's anyone here in the physical room who wishes to speak on this item, which is agenda item number 3, case number 24-06 MA 70 Houghton Street. Please stand up and make your way to the pillar. If there's anyone in our virtual room who wishes to speak on this item, please raise your virtual hand in the middle bottom section of your screen, or press *9 if you are calling in. Okay, seeing none in the physical or in our virtual room, we will close the public comment portion of this agenda item. I think that this one, again, Noel and I have said, we've seen this one before. I know that there is a need for this kind of use. I do understand the concern of Houghton Street and Vesey Street, but I do think there are ways to get, as long as they're not tractor trailer traffic here, I think box trucks are fine. And there is a need for this type of use, so having met all the requirements, I think this is a good project to move forward with. Put back on the tax rolls of the city. We were looking for votes. The first thing we have to decide is submission of waivers. The applicant has requested submission of a site survey waiver and pushing that to the final plan. So we would need to make a motion and take a vote on the waiver for the submission of the survey at the preliminary plan stage. All right, we have a motion by Sid. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Noel. We'll go around and vote. Noel?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Sid? And I vote aye. Now that we're able to hear the preliminary plan application, we could entertain a motion for that as well.
The real plan.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve the preliminary plan, subject to the following conditions. Drainage plan shall be subject to the engineer's approval.
And that the survey will be submitted at the final plan.
The survey will be submitted to the plan.
And that's encompassing based on the discussion and the staff report with discussion. All right. We have a motion, but we have a second. We'll go around and do a voice vote. Noel?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Sid? And I vote aye. Best of luck.
Thank you all.
All right. Moving along to agenda item number 4. It's a major land development project, public hearings for case number 26-046 UDR 14 Cargill Street. This is UDR, so let's hear the introduction, let the applicant get set up, and then we'll swear in the applicants who are going to be testifying on this matter.
Sure, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'll provide a quick introduction as the applicants make their way up. So this is a request to construct a four-story medical services building on a site that's composed of two lots that will measure approximately 21,143 square feet. And it's gonna be about 50, oh, okay.
Yeah, can you mute that? Or turn your speaker off, I guess. All right, go ahead, try it again.
All right, are we good now?
Yeah,
Okay.
just keep going.
So they are planning to construct this four-story medical services, medical office building. And in doing so, you will see that the way the site is laid out, they are going to be requesting a design waiver from the front yard build-to percentage requirement on West Street. And again, as you mentioned, this is a request for Unified Development Review. They are seeking a variance from the parking requirement. They will be providing 20 parking spaces on site where approximately 66 are required. And so they are looking to combine master and preliminary plan approval tonight. And so they will be talking about all the components of these plans of both master and preliminary. And so, yeah, I guess the applicant's here and they can tell you more. Oh, and Commissioner,
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'd just like to say one more thing. I know there are a lot of people in the audience who probably want to speak. We do have a sign-in sheet in the back, so if you intend to speak, please sign in on the sheet that's at the back of the room and we'll call you up in the order in which you sign.
We'll talk.
Yeah, it was sent to the.
We'll talk about that.
Attorney Shikarchi, how are you?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, honorable members of the Providence Planning Commission. My name is Attorney K. Joseph Shikachi. I represent the applicant this evening. With me is a team of people, engineers, traffic experts who are all testifying on behalf of the applicant, as well as Dr. Amy Nunn, the executive director of the Open Doors Health Facility. So as stated by the planning staff, this is a request for new construction. This is a $25 million investment into a healthcare facility. I just want to make sure for housekeeping purposes that I'm sure you do, but I want to be clear, we need to remind you of it. You have received, I hope I have on file, a letter from the city forester that we're in compliance. And then also there is been an approval for a 2-foot pipe variance as well, and that both of those should be granted and recorded in the land evidence record as well. So the biggest issue, we can get through all the details, but the biggest issue is obviously parking. And we have a report, and I want to kind of go through that. It's just basically due to unique characteristics of the area that we do not have enough parking. We cannot meet the requirement of 66 units, and we are asking for a variance for that. For a couple of reasons, because we have a study that shows there's more than adequate off-street parking. There is a public parking garage less than a 2-minute walk from there that is currently has more than enough parking available to meet that. And also, honestly, I don't know when your code was adopted, but modes of transportation are changing very rapidly in the state and in the city. Ripley has been fully funded and then some for the last 2 years. We service a good amount of our clientele. Public transportation, ride share, some walk, some take bikes and bicycles, and then motorbikes and scooters as well. So I know the code calls for 66 parking spots, but in reality, we don't need it. There's more than ample parking in and around the neighborhood. This is a facility that is closed on Saturdays and Sundays. This is only open from Monday through Friday. It's a medical facility, and quite frankly, it's something very needed in the city, in the state, and in the community. They service people who basically would not be able to get healthcare services anywhere else. We in this state are in a healthcare service crisis. 2 North Providence hospitals almost closed this year. But for an $18 million infusion of state money, they would have been closed. There were no other bidders, no one else interested in that. Our hospital care systems are on the verge of collapse. They're underfunded. If you saw today's paper, you will see that the health insurance are asking for double digits, some cases 30% premium increases. This is a thriving, living, breathing medical facility that services people in the state. So we cannot lose fact that this is not a for-profit venture. I understand that there are some neighbors around there. I want to point out that the property is zoned commercial as well. And there could be a lot of other uses that could be used other than a medical facility that's basically open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We had worked, we had a neighborhood meeting. We notified all the neighbors that we are required to. There were some neighbors who I believe might be tenants of the area. We don't have that information. We could not notify them, but if anybody has any questions and they did come forward with addresses, we will strive to keep everybody notified as we move forward. Be happy to turn over. I'd like to call my first witness would be the traffic engineer from Power Engineer to go through the study, and you should have a copy of that report as well. If you don't, we're happy to produce it.
Before we go any further. Before we go any further, is anyone is going to be testifying on behalf of this application? We need to swear you in, so let's do this all at once. So anyone come forward that's going to be testifying on behalf of this applicant, including the engineer group.
You want me to promote
Yeah,
this?
so-
Yep, okay.
Please do, yes. We're gonna have stenographer swear you in.
Okay, you'll give me your names when you.
Thank you. One other piece of housekeeping, when you do, speak, make sure you're speaking into the microphone so that those viewers in the virtual room also hear you and, everyone.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call Phil Cusco from Power Engineering, and I'd like to have him offered as a traffic expert. I believe he has testified many times before as a traffic expert as well.
Yes, we've recognized you as a traffic expert previously, and we will do so again.
I have a copy of his curriculum vitae, if you'd like it.
We would like that. Thank you for the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
So could you please state your full name for the record,
Phil Cusco,
the last name?
QSCO.
Phil, could you briefly tell the board, at my request, did you prepare a traffic and specifically a parking analysis of the surrounding area to the proposed development?
Yes.
Can you share the board in a brief, plain language, your findings of that report, and then answer any questions the board may have?
Our study encompassed a 1/8 mile radius around the site, with the site being at the center point of that circle. And in that, we discovered that, well, first we studied during peak times, which is between 9:30 and 11:30 a.m. And then, we evaluated the on-street and off-street parking, and 73 spaces are required for the site. But we discovered that there were available at that time during that peak, 87 spaces, which exceeds what the site would generate. Under the code, correct. And the code, basically is the, parking study handbook prepared by the Institute of Transportation Engineers. And that was used as a basis for the study.
In your professional opinion, would there be more than enough ample parking to support the proposed use?
Yes. There'll be a residual of approximately 25 spaces in excess.
Do you know when the parking code or the transportation requirement was adopted? How long ago that was, or the approximate date?
That I don't have the information.
Thank you. Would it be fair to say that we are in a changing landscape regarding parking in terms of the urban core as well? That typically with housing and new developments that we are moving toward a more pedestrian friendly or environmentally friendly modes of transportation?
That's correct. Generally, we generally rule of thumb is a 10% mode split. Within, of development within the northern core. So 10% is anticipated to use public transportation, pedestrian, bicycle, multimodal. And, disregarding that, we still meet that requirement. So that's in the law. That's required.
Thank you. That concludes my questioning. If the board has any questions, Mr. Fusco will be happy to answer it. And I can keep them available subject to recall.
Isn't this right next to the public safety building garage, right across the street from or adjacent to it?
Right.
I mean, I've parked there before. Isn't that parking?
It's available.
That's available?
Part of the availability.
Oh, it's part of your availability.
Right.
Have you had any discussions with the city about that and what?
Yes, we had discussed that with the city.
And what are their thoughts on that?
It's available.
It's available and it's available anywhere in the public, including this proposed use as well. Also, the top floor of that development right now, the parking garage is used for confiscated vehicles. It is my understanding the city is looking to relocate that, and there will be even more parking available at some future point. The top floor of parking is restricted right now, and that will also become available, increasing more parking available as well.
In addition, the existing site was also counted as part of the study, so there were 13 vehicles there, so there will be even more above and beyond this amount. So that was all counted as part of the traffic and parking analysis.
Okay. Any other questions on traffic and parking?
Does anybody have staff park there? Or like, how are you gonna be, what's the wayfinding compliance? and stuff?
That was part of the
Yeah.
overall parking.
Speak, microphone, we can't hear you unless,
Sorry, thank you. The staff is included as part of the whole of the parking calculation. So they would most likely park in the garage area. And the other spaces would be, patrons. To the facility.
do you know, and this may not be something you're able to speak upon, or maybe some other witness coming forward. What is the demographic you're serving? Are they local to this primarily? Do we believe that?
Yes, I'll let Dr. Nunn, who's been the director.
That's fair.
Yes, it primarily serves people in the Providence area everywhere. It's open doors, it's open to everybody. But the primarily clientele is Providence based. I'll let Dr. Nunn give you
Fair enough.
the testimony. Thank you.
Well, Sid, no, you're both also very familiar with this area. Was your parking calculation done while irregardless biscuit was open?
I believe so.
Cause that would change it a lot if it wasn't.
I believe.
Okay.
Unless there's any questions, I'd like to call Dr. Amy Nunn.
Right ahead, thank you.
Take the full name for the record. Amy Nunn. It's spelled.
Dr. Amy Nunn, N-U-N-N, A-M-Y-N-U-N-N.
Thank you.
Dr. Nunn, could you please tell the board your title and your occupation in terms of this facility, the proposed facility and the current facility?
Yes, my name is Amy Nunn, and I'm the CEO of the Rhode Island Public Health Institute. Our mission is to reduce health disparities in Rhode Island and beyond. And this building will be our headquarters. So we own and operate a clinic called Open Door Health, which is the state's first and only LGBTQ clinic. We serve people regardless of their ability to pay, and only about 70% of our patients are members of the LGBTQ community, because we take care of many people from the surrounding neighborhood as well, many of whom walk to our clinic. We provide primary care and we operate a walk-in, sexual health clinic as well. And we, take care of anybody. We take care of everyone regardless of their ability to pay. About 30% of our patients are Hispanic. And one of the purposes of this building is to help contribute to the solution for the state's primary care crisis. 200 to 300,000 Rhode Islanders don't have a primary care physician. And I think we are the only practice that's really willing to expand our primary care mandate right now. Very few practices are raising their hand to say, yes, we want to provide primary care. And that's what the intent of this building is. It's been supported with congressional appropriations and legislative appropriations from the state towards that end. We also oversee a lot of other public health programs, including hunger alleviation initiatives that serve over 150,000 Rhode Islanders. We operate a mobile produce market that serves food deserts and food swamps. We have a Ryan White HIV care program, an HIV prevention program, and we have a men's health program. We also offer family planning services. So our goal is to do as much as possible to solve the primary care crisis.
Doctor, how many, percentage-wise, if you know, or give us your best estimate, how many of your patients, your clientele, are serviced from the local area or from the city of Providence? And if your best guess, how many of them walk or bike to your facility?
About 75% of our patients live in Providence, and we do serve people from all over the state, and some people do travel to see us. About 20 to 30% of people come on foot or on the bus.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Dr. Dunn? I just want to ask you, Doctor, is your facility open on Saturdays and Sundays?
No,
And what are generally the hours of operation?
we are open 8 to 5 most days, and Monday nights we are open. On Mondays, we're open from 10 to 7.
Thank you. I have no questions for Dr. Nunn. If anybody from the board does, she's available. And if there are no questions, I'll call the engineer from Dupree Persons up next.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for the doctor?
Do you offer, drug treatment or needle exchange?
We do not do needle exchange, but we do offer addiction treatment services.
I believe there's only one facility licensed in the state, and that's at Rhode Island Hospital.
You have a great clinic over on Referral.
Yes.
In the microphone.
I was just asking if they have a current facility on Pearl Street.
Okay.
That's where the numbers that have been testified to by her and the clientele, it's all servicing from that location.
This is, doctor, this is a very large building, with a lot of other, like, ancillary, like, rooms and design areas, which looks, it's quite nice. Do you have designs for the entire facility? I mean, it seems like more than just primary care as well.
Yes, so all of the things that I just alluded to, all of that will happen in this building. It will also house our administrative and financial staff, as well as our clinical team.
If there are no questions, I ask for the Shea from Dupree to come up.
Please do.
Chris, also please give your meeting number.
Okay, hi, my name is Christine, Christine, Shea, SHEA. I'm a registered professional engineer, license number 5701 in Rhode Island. I work at Dupree Engineering, 2 Stafford Court in Cranston, Rhode Island.
Chris, you're a licensed professional engineer in the state of Rhode Island, correct?
Correct.
And you have been and continue to be the project engineer for this particular proposal, is that correct?
Yes.
Could you please briefly take the board through a general journey of the property and answer any questions they may have in terms of utilities, water, sewer, access, et cetera, and some of the engineering that you have done to date on this project.
Certainly. I'll draw your attention to the slideshow. The project is in the center of the circle that you see in the Federal Hills section of Providence. It's between Broadway and Westminster Street and just west of I-95. This is a close-up of the site itself. Bob Azar mentioned the public service garage. That is located in the lower right-hand corner of the plan. The plan is sited due north. So the project itself includes Assessor's Plat 29, lots 550 and lot 108. Those front on Dean Street, West Street, and Cargill Street. As has been noted, the site is zoned commercial, C2, as are the direct abutters to the south. That includes the garage. There is an alleyway between the garage and the site. It's informally known as Foundation Place, but it is a lot owned by the Providence Redevelopment Agency, as is the garage. There are two other private owners. There's a parking lot right there on Dean Street below our project, and then another business to the south of where the proposed building is going. This is our existing conditions plan. What it shows is the condition when the survey was done and includes an existing building that has been since demolished. But at the time that that building existed, the entire lot was 100% impervious between roof and parking lot. For safety reasons, in 2022, that building was demolished, and I have a quick view. You can see to the left is the current state. What was left in place of the building is the concrete pad.
That structure is a back in the parking garage.
Yes, it is.
This school line.
That is the public parking garage.
Practically a plus the top.
Yes, it does. I think the only thing that separates it is the Bowdick Street alleyway. And you can see on the right-hand side, the site in 2021, before it was demolished. And for safety reasons, that was demolished in 2021, 2022. This is the proposed building program. It includes a just over 8,000 square foot building footprint, 4 stories. I'll leave the details of the building itself to the architectural team. I'll focus on the site. There is an odd configuration, almost an L shape to this property. And from a site perspective, this is the layout that achieved the most parking for the site, which is 20 parking spaces. What I did acknowledge is that ADA regulations do require accessible parking when you have a parking lot between 51 and 75, which is what this site falls into that range. You would need 3 ADA parking spaces, which have been provided. So rather than providing one ADA space, we have acknowledged that there would probably be more need for ADA, and we have 3 spaces up at the top of the site. The entrance to the building is at the northeast corner, and that is where the ADA parking is provided. We have extensive perimeter landscaping, which has gone before the city forester. Today, we got his approval of this plan. It does meet all of the requirements for perimeter landscaping and landscaping for the site and the tree counts and all of that. I will note that we did try to be respectful of the residential neighborhood by pushing the loading and dumpster area towards the public parking garage. The loading is only for a food service van and not really for much. There's not a lot of loading that goes on at a facility such as this. There are new sidewalks located on the east side of the building that connect to West Street. And the waiver that we are asking for, which has been discussed earlier, is the waiver from the 0 to 5 foot build-to zone on West Street, mainly because of the configuration of the lot. That building sits roughly about 31% of the 0 to 5 foot zone along West Street. On the wastewater, stormwater side of things, this is a map from the Providence GIS hub. The red lines that you see are the combined sewer. This is an area that has a significant amount of combined sewer. The project today, wastewater discharges into the Cargill Street line. There are no stormwater management features on the site. There's no closed drainage system. It's simply predominantly overland flow, a small portion to Cargill Street, and the remainder goes out to Dean Street, just out of the driveway curb cut. We have had conversations with the Narragansett Bay Commission and with the city engineer, Craig Hoffman, and have gotten their feedback. NBC was quite clear that having that blue line that you see on the plan is a dedicated drainage line owned by the city Public Works Department. And it was at their request that we connect our drainage into that. So we have today submitted a stormwater management report and stormwater calculations that show that we are providing stormwater in accordance with the Providence stormwater ordinance. That's what you see on this plan, and also the requirements of the Rhode Island DEM, Rhode Island Stormwater Design and Installation Standards Manual. I can go into the details. Basically, we're going from a site that's 100% impervious to a site with significant landscaping. So overall, we have a decrease in peak runoff. We have accommodated a small increase because we are taking the roof to Dean, where some of that roof would have gone, or some of the parking lot would have gone to Cargill. So we have a small detention system in the top parking lot. And then at the bottom, you can see in the lower right-hand corner, a little purple box. Maybe it doesn't show up on, it doesn't really show up on your screen, but hopefully you have it on a. Oh no, there it is. It's I didn't see it. It's in the very right-hand side of the plan. That is a Filtrex tree filter, which provides water quality treatment in accordance with both the Providence regulations and the DEM. And I think that, the rest of the utilities are just, electric, gas, and those would probably likely come from Cargill. There's not much on West Street.
Thank you. If there's any technical questions for the engineer, she'd be willing to answer them. If not, I'll call my final witness will be the architect team. Yeah. Any questions for professional?
Any civil questions by the commission?
I'm good.
Thank you very much.
Take it full name for the record, please.
Jackie Russo, JACKIE BROUSSEAU.
Thank you.
Jackie, can you please tell the board who you are, what you do, what are your qualifications, and what did you do via this application today, please?
So I work for Aronian and Associates with the architects of record for this project. I am a registered architect. The proposal you're going to see here today incorporates the zoning ordinance and the client's wishes for the building, and we believe that it has satisfied all the requirements and the aesthetic design features that they preferred. This slide you see here, I'm starting with, is a shadow study, just branching off from the civil design. We wanted to make sure that this building was not going to overshadow the residential neighborhood. We did one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So you can kind of see how the shadow reaches with the height of the building that we have proposed. The red dashed line that you kind of see up here is the is the existing building. So you can kind of see where that existing building footprint is and where we took it back towards Cargill Street, kind of exposing the other houses on West Street and giving them a better view of the landscape and parking lot area than what they had when the building was there. The next few slides are the floor plans, just to give you an idea of the uses for each floor. We have about a quarter of the floor plan that's just going to be in the cellar just for utilities, which is shown in that like greenish blue color there. The rest of the first floor is kind of ghosted out there just so you can see the portion of the building that cellar actually takes up.
This is the first floor here. The pink area in the corner is facing the parking lot in West Street, so that's our central entry point. That all patrons will come into the same general area for safety and security reasons. So any walking would come off of West Street, and anybody coming from the parking areas of the parking lot would come right up at the top part of that plan. The blue areas there is all medical. So the first floor is an entirely medical use. The second floor is also entirely medical. You will notice that the lobby is actually 2 stories. We'll get to that when we get to the exterior elevations. So that's what that white space is in the corner there, because it's a 2-story entrance lobby. The third floor is going to be about a third medical, and then starts with the office use in green there. So this is for their general headquarters of their staff. And then finally, the fourth floor is all offices, conference rooms, being able to promote their business and what they do. This slide is just showing you the roof plan that shows the pieces of the roof that come up above the 50-foot roof height, just so you can see the stair, basically the stair towers and elevators. This is the facade facing Dean Street. So this is our main facade. I wanted to go over materials here. So there's a lot of curtain wall storefront. That right side corner is essentially the 2-story lobby at the bottom, and then conference rooms at the top. So it's meant to be more of a visual aesthetic. The stair towers have metal panels. The lower first floor is going to be a brick facade. There are windows throughout the building, as you'll see on the other sides as well. And what we've done is we've created aluminum pins that will sort of provide some privacy to those windows, because they'll stick out and allow sunlight to still come into those clinical areas. So it provides some privacy and allows sunlight to come in. This is the side of the building facing West Street. So on the left side here, you can see that 2-story atrium and the conference rooms at the top. We have an accent piece there that matches the stair towers, and then more glazing to satisfy the zoning ordinance for the amount of glazing at the street facades. This side is facing Cargill Street, so a little bit less glazing. We did increase some of the glazing at the ground floor to enhance pedestrian access to the building from previous designs. We have the fins creating kind of a wave feature throughout the building to give it an aesthetic that's kind of going throughout the entire building. And this doesn't really face the street. It's basically the back of the building, but again, the same materials folding around the rest of that facade. This side here is just kind of giving you an idea of how tall the building is in comparison to the parking garage that exists today. But what it's really telling you is the build to zone, and why basically that we over meet it on Cargill Street, but on West Street, because of the configuration of the lot, we're only at about 30%. That's that waiver we're seeking, just to kind of give you a visual of what that looks like, which also opens up a lot of, again, going back to the site, the houses on West Street. This, going into the renders, this is a before and after view from Dean Street. So you can kind of see how we're trying to clean up that parking lot, give it a little more landscaping. And you can see the scale of the building itself in the back and how you would see it from Dean Street. This is a corner coming a little bit closer to the building. Again, the parking lot on Dean Street, and you can see West Street on the right side there. So that's the that front corner of the building. You can see some of the colors we're choosing for the materials, the whites with the grays and the charcoal colored brick. I do want to note that the storefront does look a little bit reflective. It is not intended to be reflective at all. It's just a function of the render. For windows, we are proposing interior window treatments to help with privacy in the medical parts of the building. This is the view coming down Cargill Street, West Streets to your left. And that's you can see the entrance on the left side of the building there. And this right corner is also creating a wave of glass on that side as well. And this is the view coming down Cargill Street, going towards West Street on the other side. You can kind of see the side on the right, that doesn't face any of the streets. And then, I just wanted to get into lighting. So we have a couple renders and then the lighting photometric that show, some of the lighter fins are going to actually be an acrylic, milky white fin that can actually be backlit at night. It's a soft glow. It's not meant to project lighting. But we wanted to show you what that would look like on the two sides that we have it. Again, this is that view from Weston Cargill. And then, finally, the photometric study that shows that we don't exceed a foot candle at our property line and beyond. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for the architect?
Couple questions. The signage you show in there, you're not requesting any zoning relief, so I'm assuming that all the signage meets the zoning code?
Yes, that's our understanding.
The lighting, that you're showing on this, is that intended to stay on all night, or, certain hours?
Probably certain hours. We haven't dictated the hours, probably only when they're open, or if they're having events. It's not gonna be on at 2 o'clock in the morning or anything.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if the board wanted to make a condition of certain hours of lighting, we would certainly abide by that.
All right, we'll consider that. And just because we've come into this, with other applicants, you know the definition of a cellar in our code, and you've done the calculation to make sure that this meets the definition of a cellar.
Correct. That was submitted, and I have a slide on it too, but it's kind of boring.
Okay, fair enough. I wanted to ask and have you testify on the record that that was such. Commissioners, any other questions for the architect?
Thank you. If there are no questions, that would conclude our presentation. Happy to have anybody subject to recall of questions of the public. I'd like to state one thing. I was not present during the neighborhood meeting, but apparently it came up where some of the neighbors were requesting one of the streets to be one way. Obviously, we don't make that decision. That's a city decision, but we would have no objection if the city wanted to make one of the streets, I think a little bit more of the narrower street, a one-way to West Street. And I believe, I wasn't there, but I'm being told it's West Street. If the city wanted to do that in the future at some point, we would have no objection. We would actually support that as well.
If that's not under our purview
I
this evening
understand,
either, but that's good to
I
know.
want to state it for the record so everyone knows.
Wonderful.
That concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I guess let's hear the staff report on this, and looks like there may be some people from the public who would like to speak on this item, so let's start with the staff report.
Sure, thanks, Mr. Chair. And again, so starting right up with zoning, this is a use that's permitted in the C2 zone where the site is located. And also the applicant did speak about the dimensions and design of the building. And your report also includes a report on design review that was made by our staff planner, Chris Issei. And that is a function of our updated zoning ordinance where you will be seeing these design reviews. And while his findings were particularly positive, he did have some concerns about the lighting, which we did speak about. And as far as parking goes, you did see the parking layout of the site, and they are requesting a variance for parking that we will be talking about shortly. Again, as far as environmental management goes, they have submitted a stormwater plan as well as an erosion and sediment control plan, which will be subject to the city engineer's review. And as they said, their landscaping plan was approved by the city forester, and it just happened today. And also in approving that plan, he also approved a modification to the perimeter landscape strip where you did see it had a sawtooth design instead of a straight strip as required. And they did submit a lighting plan which shows that there will be no light trespass on the neighbor's properties. So we will first take up the design waiver, and we did make findings that were positive based on your development review regulations. So the first criteria is that literal enforcement of the provision for which the waiver sought is impracticable. And as you saw, that frontage along West Street is longer than the southern lot line, which would make it very difficult to situate a building along that frontage without drastically changing the design, should they be required to meet that build-to percentage requirement. And also, we feel that granting of that design waiver would not have an adverse impact on the surrounding environment, as it would only relate to development occurring on the site. And also, they are making tree plantings, which provide some continuity from the building. And also, we feel that granting that waiver would be in the interest of good planning practice, as it would allow for development of the site within the constraints that are provided by its layout. So based on that, we would recommend that you grant that design waiver based on our findings. From there, we move on to the dimensional variance. And first of all, we do feel that the applicant does suffer from a hardship with the irregular shape of the lot, which is located in the C2 zone, which does call for dense mixed use as well as residential development, and just the layout of the lot and its size does not allow that sort of development to occur. And we don't feel that granting of the variance for parking will alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the purpose of the comprehensive plan. Because as discussed, there are a number of on-street parking spaces available, and they will exceed that amount when you take into account that they are right besides the parking garage, which will allow them for parking and which will be updated to allow for metered and reorganized parking. And again, should you deny this relief, it would result in a hardship, as it would limit the use of the site given what's permitted in the C2 zone. And so, yeah, having done that, we also should note that now the ordinance, your development review regulations allow the administrative officer to combine stages, and we would do that given that they meet the submission requirements for both the preliminary and master plan stages. So moving on from there, we do find this to be consistent with the comprehensive plan, given that this is located under the commercial mixed-use development designation. And this sort of development would be characteristic of the development seen in that designation. As far as the use goes, we have said that this is permitted in the C2 zone. They will comply with the dimensional and design requirements, subject to you granting the design waiver. And as far as parking goes, they will meet that requirement, subject to you granting the dimensional variance for parking. The landscaping plan has been approved. They have submitted a conforming lighting plan, and we don't foresee a negative environmental impact. And as far as the buildable lot goes, they are required to merge the lots prior to final approval, and we weren't able to identify any physical constraints to impact development of the property. And physical access will be provided from West and Dean Streets as well as Cargill Street. So based on that, we would recommend that you approve the master and preliminary plan subject to these conditions. That the drainage and erosion control plans be subject to the city engineer's approval. That they should alter the lighting on the building facade so as to not affect nearby residences. We did note in our design review that we thought it may be a bit harsh, and that the lots be merged prior to final plan approval.
Okay, before we open up to public comment, I think we're gonna take a 5-minute recess just to use the lavatory. So if you are still interested, I'm hoping that you signed up on the sign-in sheet. And if you're joining us at home just to prepare while we break for 5 minutes, please raise your virtual hand, which you will find in the middle bottom portion of your screen. If you'd like to speak on this matter, or if you're calling in on a phone, dial *9. With that, we'll break for 5 minutes and we'll come back at 6:15.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we will, we're going to call this, public meeting back to order. And we would like to start by saying that, we are going to open this up to public comment at this time. Again, if you're joining us in the virtual room and you would like to speak on this item, please press *9 if you're calling in, or raise your virtual hand if you are on the Zooms. And we did receive a few letters prior to this meeting. They are a part of the record, including one from a group of neighbors, a letter from Jermaine Joins, and a letter from Nicholas Rizzo. So with that, we'll call the first person up, but we will, we were going to, as we do when there's a lot of interest, we limit the time of speaking to 2 minutes per individual. If there's a need, and we have time at the end, we can revisit that, but we like to make sure there's time for everyone else to speak who wishes to speak on this matter. So Troyan will be doing the timer for us, and the first person on the list, the sign-in sheet, is Deborah Foltz. And again, if the letter is a part of the record, and I believe you're a signatory to the letter as well.
Yes.
I would suggest one at a time because each person only has.
I already asked the gentleman if we could come up as a group.
Yes, if they want.
Time each of us, but it's easier for everybody, I think, if we're already assembled up there.
Okay, then who is the next person? Because I have multiple people on this.
Yes, I think this would be Mattman, Sheriff.
So the issue is that we have to swear everyone in who's going to speak on this individually. So let's stick to one person at a time. Yeah, that would be easier, and then we can deal with each individually. The stenographer is going to have a tough time following all of this if we don't do that.
Sounds good. Depends what about you.
Deborah Foles, it's Debra, F as in Frank, OL as in zebra. Also, okay. My name is Deborah Foles, and I'm a resident and a homeowner on 5 West Street. And a group of 16 neighbors have gotten together and collaboratively written a letter that we've submitted. All the points in that letter are universally agreed upon. Everyone listed on that letter borders this property. There were only 2 homes that we could not get in contact with to discuss this letter with them. But other than those 2 homes, every home that borders this site is represented in this letter. I'd also note that this letter isn't something that was written and then peddled around the neighborhood. This is a letter that was written in collaboration completely with the people listed. I understand, well, first of all, I don't understand a lot about how these meetings run because it's my first one, just like some of my neighbors. So I have a lawyer up here with me to tee me up. But I'm hoping you'll bear with us to share our concerns. And I have some photos that I've brought that are in paper form. I'm hoping you'll consider them. Because the letter's been submitted and reviewed, I don't want to go through it in detail, but I would like to just touch on the points. I understand that the points I'm going to mention aren't necessarily on the docket for this meeting, but we believe it needs to be considered in whole. The first and main issue is the parking variance. And we have so the concerns as we see them are in 3 categories. The first category is that there are pre-existing issues in this part of the neighborhood that this proposed building is going to layer on top of. So some of the concerns I'm going to point out are not the fault of Open Door Health or this new building that's being proposed. They are existing problems that we have, that this proposed building will exacerbate. The second is how this building functions. We have issues with how we believe this building will function. And the third is the scale and aesthetics of this building in relationship to a residential neighborhood. So the first point, which is about the parking variance, is we have a pre-existing problem that's been recognized. It's recognized as an existing problem with people parking in the lot now owned by Open Door Health, this new building proposed. They park in this lot to go to court. They fill this lot every day to go to court. They park in parking lot in a haphazard way, even though there is free parking available to them in the public safety building. The spots are available, they choose not to use them. When this parking lot is full, meaning the parking lot across from my house on West Street, they start to park in front of our homes. They park in front of our driveways, they park in our driveways. This has been an ongoing issue since I bought my house. We believe that what you're considering on paper will not work in practice. We believe that it's irresponsible to rely on outside sources for 70% of this requirement. Only being able to provide 20 spaces on site is going to have a negative impact on the parking available for the residents of this neighborhood. It already does. I have images of Cargill Street on a typical afternoon where there's not a space available. I have images of that parking lot full of cars. And so that is a pre-existing problem. Not only do you have to find spaces for the visitors to this facility, you're gonna have to find spaces for the 20 people that already park in this lot. And we feel that just because you say it's available, they don't necessarily go there and do it. So that's the first issue. The second issue is that West Street is not wide enough to be a two-way street. It's 12.5 feet wide, and I have images to show you that two cars cannot pass each other. We cannot bear the load or the traffic of this kind of facility on this street. And so we absolutely need this to become a one-way street, and for the exiting from this new facility on West Street to be exit only, not entrance exit. The third part is the scale and aesthetics. We are homes that were built in the early 1920s. This is a lot that is zoned C2, but it is surrounded on 3 sides with residential homes and residential zoning. And we feel that the character of this building, the aesthetic of this building, and specifically the lighting design and the signage is inappropriate for this environment. It's going to be in the way of us enjoying our homes. It's going to affect our property values. And just to state it simply, this organization's goal of attracting as much attention to this building as possible through a very commercial design language is at odds with our desire to come home to a residential feeling neighborhood. We absolutely want this light fixture removed, which is like the linear colored fluorescent lighting fixture you've seen in the renderings. It looks like, in my opinion, it belongs on the side of a movie theater. And we don't want to look out our windows and see this every day. I just want to check here and see if I've missed anything. I think I don't want to take up all the time. I want my other neighbors to be able to speak, but I just want to reiterate that there's 16 people on this letter, and everybody borders this this site. And I also just want to say that we are not opposed to this building in general. We're open to this building and its use. And our concerns are about how the details are handled so that we can live together in harmony there.
I believe that was, Tron didn't set the timer for that one. I guess you guys had spoken before. That was well in its sequence of 2 minutes. Obviously, that was probably like 6 or 8 minutes at least. if the other people who were going to sit with you are going to say exactly the same thing, or. Well, but we've taken a lot of time on this one person, so we want to make sure that we're getting everyone else that has something to say. So we're gonna go with the rest of the sign-in sheet, and then if there's someone who's not on the sign-in sheet that was supposed to be in this group, we will call them up next. Is that fair?
Great, yeah. I was told that I also want to see photos that show how West Street is not passable for two-way traffic.
Okay, thank you. The next person on the list is JD. Crooks? Yes, sorry about that. I try not to butcher names if I can't read. My last name obviously gets butchered frequently.
Raise your right hand, sir. It's on the same testimony about taking this matter, we can take the whole thing, but it's something after. The full name again, it's not,
It's actually Michael JD Brooks, CROOS.
thank you, let's see.
I'm gonna read a letter, sorry, and I'm rambling, but I also do have multiple letters from other, neighbors who have here today too, so I think it's in them.
Okay.
And also just to start for the record, regardless of the decibel sticks, it's on the record.
I agree.
Okay. All right, so I'm ready to express my support for the proposed building at 14 Cargill Street. This proposed project will be much needed addition to our healthcare system. I'm sorry. Sorry. This proposed project will be a much needed addition to our healthcare system, create jobs, and bring medical care and health services to both the community and the surrounding areas. This project represents a valuable investment in our community and addresses two critical needs: access to healthcare and local employment opportunities. It's common knowledge that our state, as well as the rest of the country, is experiencing a shortage of primary care providers and access to basic healthcare needs. Providence is no exception. Many residents in our area face challenges obtaining timely medical care. The addition of the medical facility would provide convenient access to doctors, specialists, preventive services, and other healthcare resources close to home. In addition, the construction phase itself would also generate employment for local business. As our community continues to grow, it's important that healthcare and infrastructure grows with it. A new medical facility will help meet current needs while preparing for future demands. It will serve as a community asset that benefits residents, families, and workers alike. For this reason, I respectfully urge you to approve and support the development of this medical facility. The project offers significant public benefits by expanding healthcare access, creating jobs, and strengthening our neighborhood for years to come. I've lived in the neighborhood for 20 years, and I've seen it grow over and just do businesses, houses, everything. It's just expanded, and it's a beautiful neighborhood. And I think this building would do so much more for it, and bring jobs, and just be an absolute benefit to it. So.
Thank you. And you said you had letters from other neighbors that you wanted to submit to?
Yes.
Yeah, you can give them to Troy, yes.
What is that?
And you can take my project.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up on the list is Richie D. Filippo. Good job.
Raise your hand, please. Sounds good. It says when you're giving that, it'll be the truth, the whole truth, and the truth, something like that. Okay, spell again.
Richard D. Filippo, DEFILIPPO.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Richie. I am a patient of Open Door Health and an advocate for public health around Rhode Island. Rhode Island needs Open Door Health to expand into this beacon for the community. The projects that Open Door has successfully done in its small location, like providing free testing for COVID, tackling the monkeypox outbreak, and now it's integrated behavioral health programs that brings mental health counselors right into the doctor's office with you when you're seeing a primary care doctor, is exactly what people need today to meet them where they are. Their current facilities do not necessarily provide that space. They're disjointed. This new building will bring everyone together to harmoniously provide the healthcare they deserve, and they should be able to see it right on the main streets. Where this new location is will be a beacon to allow people to feel safe, seen, and provided the care they ought to have. That's my testimony.
Okay, thank you very much. Next on the sign-in sheet is Pete Axman,
Got it.
That's only about giving this will be the two from two, then about two something back. Okay, so your name?
P-E-T, E-T, Axman, A-X-T-M-A-N.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. I think. One, no one's in dispute here about the need for healthcare, need for healthcare access. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I would certainly welcome open door there as a neighbor. I think what you're hearing is the case for healthcare facilities and healthcare access, which again, I agree with that. I think what we would want the board to be hearing is our concerns about how it's being implemented. The parking is a real issue, as Deborah talked about. And I think two things stood out to me. One, we drove through, my spouse, who can't be here today, drove through the parking garage facility today at 10 o'clock, average day working hours. There were 22 non-reserved spaces available in the parking garage today. As you know, they need 51 to satisfy their requirements. Two, there was talk about a thing like they might move compounded cars somewhere else. That's still a very specious reason to approve the variance in parking. We welcome businesses in the neighborhood. When Bayberry closed, we were really bummed about it, but we're happy to approve it there. I think that there's some Cardinals fans, and that's been a huge benefit to our neighborhood. This is not about having a business there. Again, your health will be there. Our concerns are the impact of the neighborhood through the parking and then also through the lighting. If the city if their purpose is to make the city walkable, which makes it more welcoming to people, it's part of the reason we moved here 7 years ago. Having lighting like that doesn't really make it feel more walkable. Having a lot more foot traffic in that area doesn't make it feel walkable. Cargill Street already is fast. People are bombing up and down there all day. Having more people will exacerbate the issue. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Next up. Is it Cam? Okay. Brooke Churis?
So the testimony must be this will be the truth, the whole truth, and about two something back. Yes. Okay, so your name?
It's Brooke Churis, BROOKE, CHURAS.
Thank you.
But I just want to echo the sentiment here. I welcome Open Door Health. I welcome all their patients. I'm a neighbor. I love living in a city. I love the businesses. Irregardless, we laugh. Definitely brings a lot of traffic, a lot of craziness. We welcome it. We like it. I think I just want to echo a couple of points here. I think first and foremost, we are kind of in a little forgotten area over here. Like I said, what we brought up is that West Street really should be a one-way. The only way we've been functionally able to get out during even a minor snowstorm has been because of this vacant lot. I would ask a serious question here that I would love somebody to help me answer. Where is the snow supposed to go? You have a street that is 12.5 feet wide that already doesn't accommodate any parking that isn't really passable. And with 2 sidewalks and a main entrance, been 0 setbacks on this. I have a genuine concern that we're not going to be able to accommodate walking traffic or be able to clear our sidewalks or do anything, which I may sound like a minor point, but it's a huge functional issue here. I also just want to mention that I live on One-Way Carpenter, and my parking in my garage is on West Street, facing what would be the main entrance. And I've already had to contract with state towing. People park in my driveway regularly to go to court. I have signs, they don't care. They park there anyway. I leave notes in their car, they pump them up and they throw them in my yard. I've now reached a point where I had to contract with a towing company to be able to get my spaces available to me. I understand that there's many modes of transportation, but to expect people who are late for an appointment to drive 1/8 of a mile away and take up valuable parking in the neighborhood is just not really feasible. So I think we're just looking for ways to get this plan so that it makes sense for the neighborhood. I would beg for a setback or at least some landscaping or something so we can have not only room for snow and hopefully drainage, but just make the area a little bit safer and feel more like a neighborhood. Because right now, functionally, I'm not sure how we're gonna move forward, with no setbacks at a very, very minor street. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Matt Smith.
Sounds good, that's when you go to this, the two thousand two, but the two thousand. That's it.
All right,
Take a minute.
yep, Matthew Smith. So yeah, I'm Matthew Smith, I live on, 6 Cargill Street, so I'm like right on the corner of Cargill and West Street. My parking spaces are actually on West Street, and right now you typically have to back out onto West Street to the micro spaces. Because of the way that it's set up right now, when I back up, I basically have to back up right to the fence line. That is going to be the building of, this new public health institute. And right now, we don't even have a curb, where the curb is kind of just flat with the street itself, and it gives the street a little extra space from the 12.5 feet it currently is, maybe make it like 14 feet. So if we built a curb there and we have the building, it effectively blocks out high the back up and parking spaces effectively. The second piece that, Rick alluded to was the snowstorm issue. I mean, we haven't, probably like 5 out of the 6 major snowstorms we've had. I have like basically had to plow the whole street except, every single time we don't have anyone plowing the street, it ends up that was me clearing the whole street and putting the snow into that big pot. So I think without any variance to push it back, we're really creating an issue there. So those are kind of my 2 points to add on. Again, very happy to have Skoda help as a neighbor. Just want to make sure that we're. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, before we move to the virtual room, is there anyone who missed the sign-in sheet that would like to speak on this matter? Okay, now moving to the virtual room, is there anyone with their hands raised who wishes to speak on this matter?
No.
Good, is there time's up? All right, there's no one in the virtual room. So with that, we will close the public comment portion of the agenda item, and I'd ask the applicant back up for a few questions. All right, so the first question, I know I discussed it earlier, was is there anything you want to say first of all before I get to my questions based on the
No,
I would
thank everybody for the testimony, and those was polite and respectful. And what I concluded my presentation before, I'll start it again, but we would support a petition filed with the city council to make that street a one-way street. I agree with everything they said about this street. It's a very narrow street. And from what I understand, snow removal is an issue. But that's something we don't control. And respectfully, it's not something you control. But if the neighbors contact that, I'm not quite sure, I don't know the boundary lines of Providence, but I think it's Council President Rachel Miller. And if you contact her and you make a request, it will be processed to whoever the council person is in that area. And we would support that, and we would testify or write letters in support of that for them. I don't know who the council person is, but I think it was Rachel Miller.
Sent us emails that were never answered, sorry to see that.
Anybody call?
It's it seems to be Council President Miller, yes. And is that the mechanism that we would use to, or would that start with DPW?
If It actually could start with any of the property owners. They could file a petition
And that's
themselves.
filed with the city council.
with the city council, yeah.
Does the applicant have any plans for snow storage, or is it going to be trucked off of the property, not the surrounding streets? Because obviously the city is responsible for that.
The city will take care of the streets,
Right.
but my client will be responsible for the removal of all snow. Obviously, patients are coming here and they're not, some of the patients aren't in the best of health. We don't want anybody slipping and falling, so we would be responsible for all of that, and probably use private contractors to do snow removal.
The light fixture that we talked about, would the applicant be willing to have a time frame when the exterior lights are on and off?
Yes,
You know, start time and an end time?
yes.
Would the applicant like to propose that time frame, or would they like it to be mandated?
I would think, I'm representing my client here, I'm gonna ask them, but I would think the neighbors would like it probably in some kind of a decision. Amy, what would be the preferred time frame for lights on, lights off?
Operating hours.
But I mean, the lights aren't gonna be on during the day. I'm talking about from 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 at night, 7 at night. What time do you usually close?
Usually at 5, and on Mondays at 8.
So how about if we said the hours of operation, which would be 5 o'clock Tuesday through Friday, and then for Monday it'll be until 8. It's a safety concern too, people coming out at night.
Yeah, and I don't want to box it in. I'm thinking, you know, like a operating hours not to exceed. You know,
8 o'clock at night.
8 AM till, 9 PM. So that it's not, if something happens, it may happen, but an event that happens afterwards. or
That would be
something like that.
acceptable.
I guess for me, the question is if they're lights, they're not supposed to be on at night, what is the function?
The decorative lights, I'm specifically talking about like the decorative building lights. Any site like, parking lot lighting for safety, I wouldn't be,
Yeah, I'm trying to put both.
because those have zero spill off anyway, as well as according to Bloomington.
I think it's worth noting that the lights don't throw off a lot of light. They meet all of the lighting guidelines already.
I think the problem is.
All right, no, we can't go back and forth.
Yeah.
This is that time is not right now on this.
Yeah. She shouldn't have said that.
Trying to think of the other note I had was parking garage. Has the applicant had conversations with the city about the clearing out? Because it's clearly stated in the staff report that the let me say, hang on, right here it is. Including this number, the spaces available in the public safety parking garage, which will be reorganized, metered, and available to the public in the near future. I'm assuming that someone in the city's employee who's responsible for that has discussed this with the applicant or with members of the.
Yeah, I'll call the I have not personally, I've called the traffic engineer who prepared the report, let him.
Or if there's anyone who's.
Or maybe your own staff.
I can say that this came from the mayor's chief of operations.
Okay, so that is something that is being implemented by the.
Yes.
That's where I got that the confiscated cars will be moved, creating more parking.
Okay, good. That makes me feel a little bit better.
It wasn't
If that
something
did
that
happen.
we want or believed in, it's something that the city told us is gonna happen in the short order.
Okay. That was what I had. Commissioners, do you have any other questions for the applicant based on the public comment?
So the things that I think come to mind is the transparency on the side streets that are not facing Main Street, but the other ones. So from the design, it looks like there's a lot of transparency into the building. I think that was one of the concerns the neighbors mentioned, and also I think there's signage on all 3 sides of the building. It looks like from the pictures I have.
But I think if we're making sure we limit they're not gonna have lights on all the time if they're worried about like light flow or things like that. But if we limit the sign lighting to a certain, the sign and the ambient lighting on the building, which was discussed by the neighbors.
And the transparency on the corners in the west, I'm sorry, I don't remember the street names, but the transparency looking into the building from the outside, I suppose those windows are not.
Well,
Like transparent or might be frosted out. I don't know if there's enough part of the plan.
and that's more the design review.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, so the windows on the ground floor, there is a requirement for a certain degree of transparency. So you have to have windows where you can see in. That doesn't limit you from putting window treatments on the inside, which I understand they may need to do for some of those rooms that face the street because they're going to be patient rooms.
Okay, is there anything else for the applicant before we let them go? And continue, we'll continue to deliberate
So
and
I'm
discuss this matter.
just looking at the renderings that are provided in the packet, so there's a light up RIPHI sign, is that facing west? Street?
There is,
That's facing
It's facing Dean Street.
this one.
Okay, thank you. It was a little hard to tell because it was, oh yeah.
Yeah,
bear with me a second. So this is West Street. This is facing West Street, the narrow street.
Okay,
This is facing Cargill Street. And then this is facing the parking lot.
okay, thank you for that, but yeah, there's two lineup signs. I guess I'm looking at the sign code, that large letter sign, is that considered a wall sign?
That would be a wall sign, yes.
Facing into a residential neighborhood?
This is facing
That's not
out
facing-
towards
Oh, that's the part.
this is the parking lot, this is the parking garage, and then Dean Street is out in this area.
Did the applicant look at putting some signage out into the parking entrance area, like closer to Dean instead of on the building where it's more visible by residents?
I asked the applicant, but I believe that would have triggered another variance. I'm not sure.
those be freestanding signs.
Freestanding sign?
Yeah. Wall signs are allowed by right,
Exactly, there are different requirements, again, attached to the building and then separate.
and they're not asking for relief on any signage. That's what's allowed in the C2 zone. And they testified to that on the record.
Okay, I was just looking at the ordinance and it says.
Small freestanding signs are permitted in C2, but they've chosen to use wall signage, which is permitted.
Also permitted.
Okay, so they could do a small. freestanding.
They could probably do one in addition to. the
You
wall
want
signs.
additional signage?
But I'm not asking for additional signage, yeah.
No, I'm just talking about in lieu of. Okay, thank you for my questions.
And again, to reiterate, the applicant would be amenable to a restriction of the accent lighting on the building and the signage only being illuminated from 8 AM to 9 PM.
Correct. Thank you.
Monday through Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, Monday through Friday, right? Obviously, they're not open on the weekends, it's not. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners.
Can I go first?
Yes,
Okay, just, looking at, as commissioners, you know, we have to look at the findings of fact here and looking at the dimensional variance, which is the parking findings, and really get stuck on number 2, which is the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general characteristic of the surrounding area or impair the intended purpose of this ordinance for the comp plans. I am very familiar with the area. I walk around there all the time. I walk my dog, and it is a very small scale, kind of crazy quilt of cottages. have a really hard time thinking that this building that basically looks like the Rhode Island Traffic Tribunal down to the sign, would not alter the general character in the surrounding area. It is already incredibly crowded with cars, you know, and if you kind of go out a little bit, fan out towards Planet Fitness, there are cars parked all over the place. Looking at the renderings and seeing kind of the upward view of the building from, look like a little bit of an incline. It really does look like the traffic tribunal. I just can't see how a building of this scale and passing without the appropriate parking included wouldn't really alter the general characteristics of the surrounding area. And that's just the criteria that we need to evaluate this project on. For me, I can't say that it wouldn't. When I think of areas over in South Providence that have similar buildings, next to schools and school buses, and again, up on Broadway, anyone who's there at any time of day, see there's probably 25 buses lined up between the high schools. I think about when I go pick up my grandniece and nephew from a charter school over like by Gordon Avenue, and there's kind of a similar healthcare building. You can't move. I mean, it is the biggest, it's a mile and a half maybe from my house. It takes me 40 minutes. I want to cry every time my nephew asks me to pick them up. I'm like, I can't, I'm busy. And that's all I see when I think of this building. And this notwithstanding the mission of it, I'm 100% supportive of it, as I think everyone in this room is desperately needed service. But I think that as commissioners, when we look at this number two, we really need to consider sending this back to the drawing board to, maybe it doesn't need all the office space. Maybe the office space could be in a satellite location. Maybe it can be 3 stories. Maybe it can be smaller so that it isn't asking for such a mammoth parking variance. 70 spaces, that's the 50, what is it, 50 spaces that they are short?
They're required, I've heard a bunch of numbers thrown out here, just to be clear, they're required to have 66 and they're providing 20.
Right, so it's a lot for these little tiny streets and what is very much a neighborhood back there of really distinctive historic homes. To drop this and the attendant parking here, I think does not fit with number two. And then I also think that with the dimensions, the finding of fact for number one, also, I'm not sure that the hardship is due to the unique characteristics, because sure, it's hard to fit parking on the way that it is now, but I think that in a C2 zone, there is another, because the way I look at number one is that there's no other use, like in the C2 zone, there's no other person who can come in and not ask for that relief. I don't think that this project rises to this level here because it's a big building. If it were a smaller building, it would need fewer spaces. And so again, I have a hard time thinking that it meets the standard of number one, that the hardship seeks relief due to the unique characteristic of the land or structure. The structure doesn't need to be the structure. So again, I have a lot of problems with this project. Structure, not use, and think that it really should be thought through to meet the standards for the findings here.
I think Megan would like to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to weigh in, the findings that are required to grant the dimensional variance are specific to the dimensional variance, not to the development. So the question is whether the granting of the requested variance, reducing the number of required parking spots that this project would otherwise require, would alter the general character of the surrounding area. You cannot consider the look of the building, the design of the building, the height of the building, which is permitted, or any of those factors in deciding whether the character of the surrounding area is altered. The question is specific to the parking variance.
So I would amend what I was saying to say that the extra amount of cars would very much not rise to the standard of not altering the character of the surrounding area. And then the same again with number one, I don't believe that the dimensional variance, which is the extra needed parking spaces, rises to that the hardship is due to the characteristics.
I understand what you're saying. I disagree. I believe that the hardship that the applicant seeks is due to the unique characteristics of this parcel, and we've seen similar applications throughout the city because a parcel is not big enough to house the building and the parking, and we specifically don't want parking for surface lots promulgating throughout the city. We're trying to reduce surface lots. So the fact that there is a parking structure adjacent to this proposal that is a public parking structure that will be reconfigured because the city thinks this is an important investment in the city, I actually think that's a good rationale for the changing of this, the granting of this, but that's not even the only one. It won't change the characteristics of the neighborhood because the neighborhood already has parking, is very busy. There's density here, and this is where density is being built. We have the public safety complex, across from it, we have a public garage directly adjacent to it. There is a lot, there's the school, the UCAP school within proximity of it. This is in between two main corridors of Westminster and Broadway. Steps from the service road, which is the artery for accessing north, south, and throughout our neighborhoods. I mean, I think this won't change the general characteristic. It's zoned C2, and another use similar to it would need parking relief, I'm sure, as well. I don't know that lobbing off a floor will make this a more palatable as far as the parking reduction, but they'll still need parking relief. And the reason they're asking for a waiver to the design waiver is specifically because they're adding parking in. Whereas in the C2 zone, you're supposed to have your build to all the way down there. Instead, they're putting parking in Lansing to the degree that they should have. Because otherwise they wouldn't have to ask for the waiver if they added more building in. But they would still have to ask for the parking waivers. This is, the downtown, close to the downtown area. This is a very, very busy area, and I think that the applicant has put on the record and the staff report meets the criteria that we need to grant the variance. That's my opinion.
I just disagree on the parking because if you walk around there, there's actually no parking. Even with the municipal garage there that right now is free and not metered. So once they start charging for the municipal garage, then you've got people who are gonna look for a free parking space, which will just be on, there's already enough parking there. Like I don't know when lot there took a walk over there was, but I don't walk around and see a plethora of empty parking spaces at all. And that's with people being able to park in a lot of no charge. And so now when they're charged, we're going to have no parking plus paid parking, which will drive people to look for more unpaid parking. So we can agree to disagree on that one, but I stand firm on our issue.
Is parking during the day allowed on West Street?
I'm not sure. And I actually think that the fact that it's a two-way street still is, that is a problem. That's not our purview. That's not something that we can take up, but I do think that the residents that are here should take the time. Only the time they would take to send this letter to us is probably what the process would be to get it started, with city council, with DPW. I blind copy, or not blind copy, but carbon copy your city council representative, because if you've called her and she hasn't responded, that's an issue, but that's not our purview. And I do think something needs to be done with that. And obviously the applicant says they're in favor of this as well.
I'm just wondering if when that petition for one way goes through or is presented, we can make a recommendation that it could be permanent or resident parking only for that street, or
I don't think there's enough room for parking as well. I mean, the neighbors are saying that they can't even get out of their driveways as is now.
Right, it sounds like people are parking on the street. So
No, I think they're going, he said he's going to the fence that's existing today, hopping the curb, which isn't a curb. Basically going to the fence to be able to get in and out of his driveway on West Street.
Okay, The other thing I wanted to bring up. So the main entrance to this parking garage that we're talking about is kind of kitty corner on a separate block from the main entrance of the project. Is that right?
It's on Dean Street.
It's on the same block. The main entrance is on West Fountain Street.
West Fountain, right?
So if we're thinking about people parking in the garage and walking, they're coming typically down onto the opposite corner on the next block. Is that right? I couldn't get a good sense of.
Still not by the police.
Yeah.
Fountain Street and Dean Street. That's where the exit.
Yeah, it's on that block,
Opposite end.
opposite end of the block.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, the kind of cake.
Yeah.
I know the applicant doesn't own the garage, but I feel like this could be a great opportunity for some wayfinding, some signage, like that's really lacking currently. There is a man door on the back parking garage, but it's not where you go in. So if someone's leaving the buildings, they have to go all the way around and in, which I think is doable, but it's not very clear right now where the entrance to the parking garage is.
I think operationally, it's going to be on the applicant to direct that. If this is the main source of
Yeah,
where they want their clients to park,
right.
they're going to need to help and educate their clients that this is where you can park, that there's sufficient parking.
If you make recommendation that there's amazing signage on the building on multiple sides, but we didn't see anything kind of in the drive-in entrance to the lot, kind of showing people where to go, or I think it would just be great to know that the applicant is planning for wayfinding for their clientele.
Are you saying from the public garage to there? Because they don't own the public right of ways or the garage.
Where you drive in on Dean Street.
Yep.
There was nothing in the rendering that I saw as far as signage or like wayfinding to send people to the parking garage, which they could do, right?
I don't know that. They have surface striping for their wayfinding, but they don't have wayfinding like signage on the application that we looked at.
I'm wondering if that would help the neighborhood's concerns about people driving around in circles or being late and parking in a hurry somewhere that maybe they don't know if it's allowed, but they're gonna be quick. Just could it be a solution to help people feel better about how things are going to be going forward? We make a recommendation for
Trying to
additional.
figure out how to like look into wayfinding signage internal to the parking area. I mean, the website will definitely be, but
Sure. Yeah.
but the parking area directing to other parking options. I don't know how you can do that from like wayfinding though. That's gonna be too much information on a sign that no one's gonna read. I think it's more about educating them.
With an arrow pointing at, I guess I'm asking about code and freestanding signs because it seems to me like an easy solution would be to put another sign at the entrance to the parking lot telling people where to go.
But that's only gonna take them down Dean Street, then they're gonna have to take a right onto West Fountain Street and
Right.
get in the parking structure there, and they can't put any signage on the city streets.
No, I understand, that, but like, we can do it, we can find it in Boston, we can do it here, right? Yeah,
No, I agree with that. I'm
Yeah.
saying I don't think it's needed as long as their clientele is aware, and I think that's gonna be the onus is going to be on the applicant to ensure that their clients are well aware of all the parking availability.
so could that language go into a recommendation? Is what I'm asking. If it can't, fine, I'm just asking if it can.
What would the language be?
Applicant needs to provide freestanding signing at parking lot entrance for available municipal option language to be approved by signed approval.
So my concern with the condition is that it would require a dimensional variance. And
We're
findings.
not. Okay.
And
You're allowed,
I don't know that it would.
if they place it so that it's not required, the dimensional relief is not,
It'd be a free,
um, directing to municipal lot on the west.
yeah. That's not bad.
Fancy.
Look into wayfinding sign
How long-
internal to
how
the
long this-
parking area directing to municipal lot on West Houghton Street.
I would just keep it as simple as possible.
Excess. Additional parking.
Yeah, I think they have 50 feet there.
Yeah, look into wayfinding signage internal to the parking area directing
There's
to
50 feet.
additional. Yeah, municipal lot in West Houghton.
Right.
Okay,
Internal to the site,
Okay.
okay.
Correct.
like not
No-
in,
Nothing on the parking garage, nothing outside of the lot. I'm just,
First Street lot. One First Street lot, no, I think that would be okay.
Is it based on a West Street address?
No,
not
No.
triggering any. new-
I don't think that would be a problem.
They can design it in a way such that it wouldn't require more.
yes, I don't want to add more to the process.
And definitely,
That means.
the 8 AM to 9 PM Monday through Friday lighting
Yes.
is definitely
Those are the street lot.
something I would require as a
You could have
condition.
one for this, you could have one for
I mean, I-
this and one for that.
The lighting condition, I mean, if it has to happen, would it be possible to ask the developer to take into consideration the neighbor's request to not have that neon blue design element on it? Because that seems to be what's the point of contention. It's not the lighting that's the wayfinding building lighting. But
No,
it's
no,
the-
I'm saying the accent lighting and
Yeah,
the signage specifically only 8 to 9, like the safety lighting in the parking
yeah,
lots.
no, but I'm talking about the blue wave lighting.
Yeah.
Maybe the developer could work with the neighbors to eliminate that. It's just a design element and it just seems like nobody wants it.
If they close at 8, why not have it off at 8?
Well, we were gonna say during business hours, not to exceed 8, so that we have a parameter, because they said they sometimes have events where
Oh,
they're
events,
open,
okay.
you know, so that. For business hours,
The post business hours would only be for an event exception.
yeah, look into some
But
other
still-
lighting elements and restricted the accent light and the signage restricted to business hours. But not to exceed 8 AM to 9 PM Monday through Friday, is what kind of I was thinking for that. To have like safeguards, even. Like if their business hours change for some reason, then they'll have to come back.
Pretty great, though, for like. Blue neon sign, I think, especially in the fall. because-
Business hours, and if they're, so they said they're open Mondays till 8, so.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just seemed like the neighbors took issue with looking out of their homes onto a neon blue wave sign. Maybe that's something that they could consider.
Yeah, and we can say, and then, look into other design elements,
Exactly.
investigate other design
That
elements.
is just.
Can I go back to parking?
Mhm.
Sorry. Have we, so it's basically like a 2/3, 1/3 that like the variance we're asking for. Have we granted a variance of this ratio?
We've granted 100%.
Okay. Just checking.
I mean, we've granted more. Well, more.
Okay,
We,
for this number of spots.
we regularly grant parking relief throughout the city. Because we want people to use alternate transportation and we don't want surface parking lots.
No, I know, I've already guessed them before. I'm just questioning, like, has it been this number of spots in the past?
I'm sure there's large developments that have had more spots.
This might be great.
Yes. Without looking at specific details, I'm quite certain that we have well in excess of 40 spots. And you know, an area that people are familiar with, I think,
Oh, there
is
was-
where you want relief to begin, people that's well trafficked. Not necessarily an area, so there's not a lot of commercial development, because then people won't know those, things. Then it would be harder for people to. No. We have a couple different items that we have to vote on, and maybe some of them will be easier than others. The first one is a design waiver. And that's for the front yard setback. Because the applicant is putting parking in. And not building the lot line, which is required, where they exceed the required lot line, the coverage. In other frontages, the front lot line does not. So we have the need to take action on the waiver from section 503A6A of the zoning ordinance for the proposed front yard setback. And then we discussed the criteria the applicant put on the record, the enforcement of the provision, that the irregularly shaped lot, the northern lot line on West Street is more than double the length of the southern lot line, making it difficult to build to zone, and that the granting of the waiver would not have an adverse impact on the surrounding environment because it only relates to development occurring on the site. And tree plantings will be made at the front lot line, separating the parking area from the street to provide continuity for the building. And then granting the waiver is in the best interest of the planning or design. It would allow for the development of this site within the constraints permitted by the lot's layout and allow for parking on the site as opposed to building to the lot lines. So that's the first item we have to take action on. And we need a motion either to approve the waiver or deny the waiver, one way or the other.
Just so I can get it right, the front of the building is Cargill Street.
The way they have identified this building is that the front of the building is West Street. Yes, it has a Cargill Street address, but the way the way our rules are written is that you have to have a main entrance on the main street. They're obviously this building is kind of oriented so that the entrance faces the parking lot, but it's at the corner. It also wraps around so it faces the street. So if that's where the entrance is, then that's going to be the front. And in this particular case, because of the way this lot is shaped, we want more in an ideal scenario, we want more of the building to be fronting on the front lot line than on the side lot lines. It's a little bit reversed here. And that's why they're asking for the dimensional, I'm sorry, the design waiver.
Because in the C2 zone, you can build to the law.
Yes,
There's no setback.
you're actually required to be between 0 and 5 feet from the lot line. And what we say is that on your frontage, we require at least 60% of the building to be within that build to zone relative to the length of the lot line.
They need to come to like here as opposed to
Okay,
here.
so then this.
So they're 100
Have to be all.
60% of that.
60%.
And they're at 30, they're at about 30%.
So the relief is to not have a building.
Correct.
Right here.
Yes. And we allow you to grant that by design waiver.
That's a planning board function, right? That's a planning board function. That's not the zone.
Yes, this is you acting as a planning board.
someone were making a motion in favor of it, they could say so.
I think that
All right,
the grant relief, right, this is the grant relief.
To grant the
The
design
design.
waiver for the,
yeah,
I'll make that motion. Grant the-
okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? We'll go around and do a voice vote. Noel,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
Sid,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The next item that we will need to tackle is the zoning item, which is the dimensional variance. This one is based on the zoning criteria. The findings that were made in the staff report, the testimonies that was given by the applicant in that the hardship that the applicant seeks relief of is due to the unique characteristics of the land. That this is a C2 zoned intended for dense commercial and mixed use development, like the subject project is being proposed, and the subject property is oddly shaped. The second criteria is that the granting of the variance would not alter the general characteristics of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of this ordinance or the comprehensive plan. Shows this as a growth area, and that there will be sufficient parking around, especially because the city is wanting this sort of development in this area and is retooling the public lot adjacent to it. And then the third criteria is, as part of the Unified Development Review, evidence in the record that granting development, that not granting this variance, will amount to more than a mere inconvenience. Obviously, this development will not move forward if this is not granted. So in that, if someone were putting a motion forward to vote to approve this, that would be based on that we request the relief to be granted.
excuse me, Mr. Chair, I just want to make a comment here. Finding number one in the narrative, it mentions that the condition is not related to a disability or prior action of the applicant. The prior action of the applicant is actually a separate finding, so it's incorporated into this number one, and you would be properly making that finding, but I just want to make sure you understand that in the statute, it's actually broken out as a separate finding.
Okay.
I think there's there was some confusion on the staff report because under the new law, that finding doesn't apply to subdivisions, but it does apply to land development projects.
Okay. And that the hardship is not due to previous action by the applicant. And if someone were willing to make that motion, they could say so moved or propose. And then we can get to, if this carries, then we can get to the meat of it where we can put conditions on it and things like that. This is parking variance.
Do we have the steps needed to make sure that level of the parking garage is gonna be available? Did we say? Like that top floor of the parking garage?
I think she's asking, is there any guarantee that the top floor of the garage
Yes,
is going
thank
to
you.
be?
No, there's no guarantee. But the city has made assertions that they are going to, which is probably the best we can do. It's, in my opinion, the city's telling us they're going to do this. That's as good as a private developer telling us they're going to do this for their use.
Is it appropriate to just talk about the parking one more time for me?
Absolutely.
No, just again,
There's no motion on the table. We're still in discussion.
I just think dumping 46 spaces, I mean, we heard testimony that because the garage does serve the courthouse as well, which does fill up. And we did hear testimony that at 10 o'clock a.m., there were only 20 empty spaces in the garage. Again, this is a crazy quilt of narrow streets in a area that does have a lot of commercial activity in it. And to dump 46 cars into these streets is really something we need to think about, because I just don't see where you're gonna put them.
Is there any way to request that they try to negotiate with the city for a lease from parking for access to it?
I don't think that would.
I don't think that would be appropriate for the city to negotiate for one tenant. The assertion is that this would be public parking, that it would be metered, that it would be presumably priced in such a way that you know, gains some revenue for the city, but also allows for public access. It's a lot, you know, there's the potential for a lot of new spaces to come online through this. And it is pretty unusual to have a municipal garage right next to your site. So in my opinion, I think this will definitely be taken advantage of by clients of this facility. And I believe that it will make up for the shortfall.
Rachel, you asked something that, like, have we ever approved this many units? Have we ever, like, or this number? We've never approved a parking reduction where there's a public parking garage right next door. Like, this is the ideal scenario to approve, especially when the city is stating that they will make more spaces available for uses like this.
But that's my question. Have they stated that, or is it?
I heard Bob said they did.
That stated what? Sorry.
Stated that they would move their impound lot from the top floor elsewhere. Has that been put in writing somewhere?
I don't believe it's been put in writing.
That, I mean, yes, having the parking garage here is crucial, key, but I think if a large portion of the parking garage isn't available for these clients and the courthouse.
We also heard some of the testimony that some of the parking spots are limited. This individual, the parking spots are, one of the people who testified said that there are available parking spots.
But there's
Some of them are restricted.
The top floor was restricted.
No,
Oh,
I
some
think
of
it's
it's in the
public
block.
safety unit, the police. park
Oh,
their
yeah, the
fleet in
police
there,
park there,
and then
yes.
employees park in there, so not every space in that lot is available for the general public.
Right.
So that's important to know, and we also heard testimony that there are cars parked all over the place in the neighborhood, even with a free parking garage.
Which definitely needs, that's an enforcement issue with the city, and you would think that the enforcement of something as close to the public safety complex in that general vicinity would be the easier, the low hanging fruit. That's not always the way it happens.
Is it out of line to ask the applicant to get this commitment from the city to free up that floor and then come back?
I would just caution you that we're not saying that the parking garage is for this development.
Yeah.
And it was being presented that way.
I don't.
It's being presented as an option, as a public option that is akin to the public parking spaces on the neighboring streets.
And it's not the only public option that the traffic engineer testified to. Who also said, you know, when they looked at it, there were 39 vacant as opposed to like the 21 vacant. So yes, it fluctuates between numbers at times. But you know, they had other spaces that were available throughout the neighborhood that could be utilized as well, not just this lot. And this is with the lot with it being encumbered by the restricted top floor as well. And the fact that we we require a certain number of spaces for these uses. And if you look at the use tables, I don't know that they're going to need any of these 66 spaces at one. I don't think that's realistic. But that's the code, so that's what we have to go by. Based on the use tables, and that's just a general use table.
Thinking about it a lot. I'll make a motion that, I'll make a motion that we grant the relief sought. For the variance for the parking requirement. As we have discussed.
And subject to the staff.
Subject to the findings.
The findings and stuff.
In the staff report.
And as testified by the applicant and their witnesses.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second? So.
Chair said.
Can't form the motion.
You can second if they don't have the books moving forward, just a second. The vote for something a second.
Yeah, someone could. I don't believe I can second a motion. Someone could second a motion and not vote for it. Just to get a vote on the motion. But I can't second a motion.
Or you could have another motion.
But yeah, and the alternative is
We've got to vote on.
that we abandon this motion and someone makes another motion, but they have to make the findings. For all of the conditions as well.
I'll second the motion to get the vote going.
Okay. All right, we have a motion on the table. We'll go around and vote. Noel.
I'll vote aye.
Okay, Rachel.
Aye.
Sid.
Nay.
I vote aye,
Where's the license?
and the variance does not pass. Now with that, it's a simple majority, yeah. So it'd be 3 or 4. So with that,
You would need 3 out of the 4.
so we need to move on.
Well,
We need
I mean-
vote out of the mind.
So without the parking, we have to deny the.
the motion fails. Not a thing.
Can we still? In UDR. How does that work? Normally they come back.
So the, well, that means would someone need to make a motion to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that won't either. So where does this leave us?
This is years ago, zoning board.
Oh. it's way back to the beginning.
But the tie is not,
Yeah,
and if we don't act, they get relief. It's
oh,
considered an
within,
action.
within a certain.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a,
Well, they get the back, they get the relief. We don't.
it's the.
The time, when the time expires.
Okay. All right, so I would need to know when this is certified, and so we know how long.
Do you have?
Yeah. Right, Joanne, when was this application
Just
certified?
need a couple of minutes for the mechanical issues here.
June 9. All right. So this is a major land development project. It was certified complete in June 1. Okay, so we need to go to 4523. Major land development project 39. Master plan review. Let's see, preliminary, we're at preliminary plan. We haven't continued. Oh, this is master plan.
I mean, that was me. And the case was settled. So it's still, Lisa treated it as a denial. Then how the denial and as inaction.
I think, well, see, the way I look at this is planning board shouted in 90 days. Approved the master plan and submitted approval changes and those conditions with community application. So, but I need to go time frames on variances. Are there? June 9th. This certification is July, August, September. We have until September to bring this back. I would say that that's where it stands. Yeah, so also the thing is that you have 90 days from certificate of completeness to act.
We could have them request again to stop the time clock, right?
You could. They would probably continue, that would stop the clock. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is in the contents of the zoning.
Okay. Oh, but that's so time frame on zoning.
No, but also. Or this one. Yeah, I can understand.
Should we take a recess?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, 10 minutes?
Yeah, 10 minutes.
10 minutes to speak?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a 10-minute recess so that we're not all just, we will call this meeting back to order now at 7:47 PM. Are you ready? All right, Counselor, what are you,
The CPC voted 2-2 on a motion related to a dimensional variance that's part of Unified Development Review related to a major land development project that they're here on master and preliminary plan approval. The issue is whether a tie vote is a denial or inaction. There are legal sources pointing in both directions. I'm not sure the question can be definitively resolved by me. I think ultimately it would have to be a court of law to make the decision, but I do think we might need more time for legal research on the question. In which case me or my department might be able to form a more definitive opinion. Of course, our opinions, are not conclusive on the question. If you want more background on it, there's strong legal support for the idea that a tie is a denial when a zoning board acts on a dimensional variance. It's just not clear that rule carries over to the CPC when it's acting in a UDR capacity. It probably does. It's just unclear, and I don't feel like the 10 minutes that I had tonight to look it up, that I could answer the question with any definite opinion. The other issue is how this impacts the preliminary plan approval request.
because it's unclear whether or not the CPC needs to vote on that or not. And if it doesn't vote, because of the denial, if it's treated as a denial, whether that, would itself be considered an action by the CPC. So those are the legal issues. This has come up from time to time, in less complicated scenarios, also with some, not clear. We've been in litigation over this in the past involving the CPC. The issue is that the case settled and the judgment was not rendered by a court. So, I'd also like some time to look into more clearly what arguments were made, at that time then, in full briefing.
So is the request that the applicant request a continuance?
I mean, I can't request that the applicant do anything, but I think it would behoove this board to have more time if the applicant were inclined to do so.
I have a question. If the applicant asks for continuance and then it's another CPC meeting and it's not the same exact group of people who haven't heard all, like, how does that work?
Whoever we hear would have to put on the record that they've reviewed this full hearing and transcription, all of the records that were considered tonight before voting. But the question is whether or not the tie is a denial. If it is a denial, it can't be voted on again.
Right, that was my other
Without a
question.
substantial change.
Without a substantial or material change in
So my
circumstances.
other question is our other option to vote on the, just to tie this up, to vote on the preliminary plan tonight, which we'd have to say no because it's not in zoning compliance. And then it would have to restart, right?
Right. This board could just, yes, if with absent a continuance request, I think we probably should entertain a vote on the preliminary plan appeal. I'm sorry, the preliminary plan, master and preliminary plan application.
Which,
Well,
go ahead.
well, but if the applicant doesn't request a continuance, you could continue it, but the clock would still be ticking. If they request a continuance, the clock stops.
And when is our time clock for action on I guess both matters?
We certified the application complete on June 9th, so you have 90 days to act.
July, so the July meeting on the 28th would still be within that time frame.
It would be.
But we have already acted on your vote.
Well, I think that's the question.
No one
Is a tie, yeah, June 9th is the.
Well, no, that's the other issue. If this board doesn't act on the preliminary plan application within 90 days, it's considered an approval.
Right, that's what we're saying. So you
So
have until September.
Is it possible to put a motion to make the vote on the preliminary plan? So that we're not exposed with the time clock and then you have to figure out.
So
Well,
the board.
I don't know that you want to do that.
Yeah, I would suggest continuing so that we know from our legal counsel what just happened. I would implore the applicant to request that continuance or waive the time clock.
I was
So that
gonna
we
say,
can.
if they ask for it, then we're not under the time. clock.
Correct.
Chairman, respectfully, we're not asking for continuance at all tonight. I will leave it to the board's decision to make a meeting already on one vote. We want to do the rest of the file to the board. We respect the decision, but we will not be asking for.
So we have 2 more meetings to get it figured.
Yes.
We have 2 more meetings to get it figured out. And right now,
And we would all 4 of us have to be present.
Yes, and yes,
but there could be others as well,
yes.
in addition to us, but all 4 of us would have to be here. And
But-
you're not gonna be here on the 28th.
Or do I have to be?
Yes.
Well, if we continue this, yeah, I mean,
Just explain to me again why we can't close the loop on it tonight and vote on the combined master preliminary.
I'm not going to vote on this
Right,
tonight.
but
I'm
what-
going
what-
to propose a continuance so that legal counsel can determine what this is, because what we're going to do is we have a tie vote, so we've taken action. We don't know. if
I
we've
get
taken
all
action.
that. My question is, what's the difference between if you continue it and do the research, or if we vote on it tonight and you do the research? What's the difference?
Okay,
If they didn't.
so just to be clear, I'm not saying that this board has different paths that it can pursue. I'm not saying that you can't vote on it tonight, and I'm not saying that you must continue it. Those are both options available to the board. I'm not weighing in on the direction that you want to take. I just want to make sure what we do is legal. I think that the chair's concerns are that if the preliminary plan approval is denied based on a lack of zoning compliance, but the tie is not a denial, you know, then that decision is infused with an error. So he wants to avoid that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, I don't have a suggestion either way. I do think it would, you know, legal would like it to be cleaner, when we get to that vote. And when I say cleaner, I don't think that, you know, our office will form an opinion. It doesn't mean a court, if it were to be appealed, would have the same opinion. It would be based on as thorough, amount of legal research.
And if we were getting too close to the time clock, could we call a special meeting that we knew everyone was gonna be at, so that we wouldn't get past the 90 days? I'm just trying to
Yes.
figure out
Yeah,
how
technically we
it
could.
should,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
so maybe.
You'd have to, so you could continue it to your next meeting and then you could continue it to another day that
That
you know everybody's gonna
Yes.
be there.
Yeah, so there was a motion to approve, which didn't pass. We didn't have a motion to deny. Because arguably that could be the same, it would be a tie vote again, so.
And can the applicant provide, or like, present at the July meeting or no? You don't think you know?
Not unless, no,
Oh.
we can't hear again on unless there's a substantial change to the zoning.
Sure. So I guess it's just whether or not.
It's what this is.
So I'll make a motion that we continue this to their next meeting.
To July 28th at 4:45
I'll make
in
a
this
motion that we
room.
continue, right.
July 28th, we have a motion to continue it.
Sorry, just if she's not gonna be here on July 28th, do we have to put in the date of the motion?
We have
for
to do
continuing?
date specific for a continuance. So even if we are.
Unless there's gonna be a complete re-advertisement. So you
Right, this is meeting on the 28th.
can
Then-
continue it again, yes.
Good date specific.
But it has to be date specific.
Send the directs from them to the airport.
Yeah,
Let's put that on the record.
unless we find a date that all four of these folks are available.
All right, so we have a motion to
And
continue it to,
Another option is to continue it to a date where we know all four of you are gonna be available. Shall we pull out our,
I just can't.
I can't, I'm out.
I won't be here.
I won't be here, Bob won't be here. But I
Well, you
won't be
need
able to
him, you
vote.
need
I
Michael.
need to vote. It's the same issue.
Extremely.
Could we just continue to the last degree?
Or you could continue it to the August meeting,
When is the August meeting?
August 18th. That might give you a little breathing room.
August 18th.
How many
Is
days
everyone
that
here?
put us within the shot clock of?
We have it exactly like
Oh,
2
about
weeks.
September 9th.
Yeah. Yeah, we have another 2 weeks. You're here, Noel,
What date?
August 18th.
So that goes in the motion, it's August 18th, not.
That's what it would be. We'd have to read. It wasn't seconded, so it's not real. Yeah. Been modified.
Yeah, I'll be here. I'll be here.
You're here?
Yeah.
All right, so all four of us will commit to be at the August 18th, as we can continue this to the August 18th, 2026 at 4:45 in this room meeting.
I'll make that one.
August
Okay.
18th.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion, this matter is continued to the August 18th meeting. And that is the last item on our agenda, so we will take a motion to adjourn
So move.
and a second.
Second.
Good evening.
Right.